we got our wires crossed about Monday, but I mean, I was away yesterday and again today. Happy really to take your questions. I mean, to be honest with you, with last night's vote, we're now into the phase of what it all means, and how the vote gets translated into what universities have to do to be able to charge what they want to charge. But the key thing is, I suspect you've got many more questions, so rather than just give a kind of prepared statement, I'm completely happy to answer anything you want.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we do have one question to begin with.
Hi. This is, I think, a collective from Exeter students who are not at the university, at the college, who are going to be directly affected by the motion passed in both houses. And we'd like to register our disappointment that we never got the chance to meet with you as head of Universities UK to discuss this, because we were excluded from the debate between yourself and Aaron Paulson.
Yeah, fair point. I'm sure you know the answers to why. It was nothing to do with the university. It was a guild event, and they made the decision that because they had to turn quite a lot of people away anyway, that they would have some people in rather than others. But we didn't know who was coming in before the meeting.
It seems to me that you must have had an idea that college students and students of other sixth forms were going to be very interested in this, given it was directly affecting us. And it seems a shame that you didn't take the opportunity to set something up to discuss with us. It would have been, you're a man with considerable resource, and it would have been very easy for you to have done so.
Well, put very simply, firstly, I did the debate. Immediately after, one of your colleagues in here came up to me and asked me to come and talk to the group here, and I was happy to do that. So, I mean, I'm really happy to talk about the issues, but the difficulty you've got if you run a university is we believe very strongly in the power of student unions and student guilds. So we work with them and see them as the voice of the student body at the university. So in all the time through this, Johnny will confirm that what we've said is we're happy to talk at any point, but clearly in terms of the formal discussions we have them with the Students' Union. Now, when you've got an occupation like this, which as you know, obviously is causing a little bit of disruption to the work of the campus, it's a fine call about when you come and what you say. But I'm very happy to come, and it's not an attempt to kind of stop people listening. It was simply, I honestly did not know who was going to be in that room when I walked in there.
Okay, we'd like to move the debate on. If you go to Caitlin.
Yeah, one of the aims and objectives of this occupation has been to create a space that's a safe space for learning, free education for everyone. We've had lecturers from the university and from elsewhere coming in to speak, and something that has been put forward by a lot of people here is the desire to have a permanent space on campus in which we can do that, that's open to everybody and that anyone can teach in. So I wondered what you think about that, if there's anywhere that you think that could be possible, and whether we could just open that discussion up as well.
Yeah, I think the problem is going to be one about timetabling. As you know, we're spending a lot of money at the moment on, in fact we're going to spend even more money now, on new lecture theatres and improved teaching space. Our problem at the moment is we have real difficulties over the timetable, and we have run into some difficulties this term. So what we'll have to do is, I mean, we would not want to be in a situation where a learning space was taken out of provision all the time. What we would be happy to do, of course, is to take any requests to have a meeting. I mean, that's not a problem. The difficulty is taking a space out of the timetable of the institution. And, I mean, by all means, let's talk about it, but it depends whether you want a named space or a specific space or a space when you want to have meetings. The latter is much easier to sort out than the former. That's the honest answer.
I just want to come back and say that we're not necessarily talking about office hours in terms of we've had some of the best lectures and discussions that I've ever sat through at 2 in the morning, etc. And I know it's a difficulty, but there is the option of out of hours space and meetings. But
I mean, to be blunt, I just think this is a question of if you want to use spaces at particular times, put in requests. The Guild has space, we have space. It's not impossible in any sense to find space. The difficulty is you know, this is it all the time. And I know that would conflict a bit with being able just to turn up. But I think there's willingness on our side to work together to try and find a space that people can use when they need it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a shame that we can't have a permanent space. I think, or it's a shame that you say we can't have a permanent space. And I think a permanent designated space would really be the objective. But I wonder if, moving on from that slightly, whether you feel that the principle of what we're doing here, which is essentially what we're calling a free university, a university where anyone can come, where anyone can teach, where anyone can learn, where we learn from each other, where we set up, if you like, an idea, a principle, a model which is in opposition to the marketisation of education at all levels which is happening in the country at the moment. I wonder how you feel about that principle of what we're calling a free university.
Well, I actually, as someone who took part in quite a lot of sit-ins when I was a student, understand that model very well. And I'm very content for people to do it, and I think if people want to get together and talk about issues, I actually think that's a good thing and something we should encourage. I've got no issues with that. The notion with free. Free is an interesting point, because free often means paid for somewhere else. I mean, you know, it's space costs money to build, space costs money to run. People who have to work and staff the building, you know, obviously get paid for that. So there are costs. So what I think would be happy to do as an institution is to work with the Students' Guild, which is the elected body of representatives of the Students' Union, of students at the university, to find what the needs are and to try and help provide that space. I don't honestly think you're pushing an open door there, because we want a campus in which people do talk about the issues, do debate. It's not about agreement, it's about providing a safe space to have those discussions. And there's no issues there as far as I'm concerned.
Well, here,
sorry.
our proposal is voluntary, so if everyone volunteers to offer their services, would that be allowed?
Well, I think as long as if it's about booking, if you want to say we want to have a discussion on a night from 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock, and we can find people who are willing to, if members of the unions here are prepared to staff it, that's one thing. The difficulty is, if of course what you're trying to do is to come into a building where people would not normally be on duty, then there's an issue for us with our unions, as you can see. But I honestly think, we could get hung up on this, but I don't think there's a problem with us providing space for people to have these debates. I don't think that's what it's about. I think and I could be wrong, but I think it's the permanent space that people can just turn up into. If it's turning up, if there's a view that Wednesday night we want to debate on X, is Newman A free, then I think we can find ways. There won't be any resistance to us on that. You know, it's going to be the issue of a permanent designated space.
I'd just like a clarification on the guild side of things and whether that would exclude people who are not members of this university coming into the free university, which would go council bonds.
Sure. As I understand it, could be wrong, I don't know where Johnny is.
Well,
sorry, John.
the guild point of view afterwards. If you've got Steve here for a few more minutes, I recommend you ask questions to him.
I mean, my view is, if the guild is happy for people to come in, we have, the campus is open for people to come onto. There's no issue about that. I fear, and it's linking your previous question with this one, I think you're seeing something at work that honestly wasn't at work, which was a desire to exclude you, rather than the fact that that you weren't in that meeting. I think they're two separate things, and as far as I can see, we as an institution have really good links to Exeter College. We're very happy and we want to improve those. There'll be lots of people from other places, from sixth forms, from other schools. We're happy for that. But for us, the way we want to do it is through the recognised Students' Union of the university.
Yeah, I'm involved in quite a lot of groups on campus that do bring in, or try to bring in people from outside for discussions or one-day events. And we've been told when we book rooms that we do have to pay if there are people from outside of the university using them.
Again, I need to, Simon, I don't know I think, let me tell you what I think now. I think if it's the student union booking things, it's one set of rules. If it's outside organisations, it's different.
This is booking it as an academic based here, but wanting to bring in various publics, other students, that kind of thing. And then we've been told that you have to pay for,
can we get back on that?
Yeah,
can
we can
can
look
we,
at- we can
if
look at
you'll
the
leave an email,
basis.
so we'll follow that up because
Yeah.
Can I ask who? Who have you had those conversations with? Has that been with the university room bookings?
Room
through
bookings,
Okay.
yeah.
Event Exeter or through Guild?
Just through the room booking system.
we'll follow that up.
Yeah.
Okay.